Jeff Garman was found with fatal stab wounds outside of his home on Saturday, September 3rd in Las Vegas. Garman was a hard-hitting investigative journalist for more than 4 decades in Vegas. He was a fearless investigator, blowing the whistle on mobsters, politicians, bad businesses, the Raiders, and so much more. Robert Tellis is a Clark County elected official arrested on Wednesday, September 7th, in connection with the murder of Jeff Garman. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
It's going good here. Beautiful. Weather's nice. I have full intentions of doing a bunch of Halloween decorating today, so I have
Ooh,
no
fun.
complaints.
Fun. That sounds awesome. Yeah, it's actually feeling like fall here. I'm so excited.
Oh my
We're going to get
goodness.
it for like 5 minutes. Farmer's
We,
Almanac says we're getting snow in October. I'm like,
I know. Shut your mouth, Farmer's Almanac.
yeah,
Oh, we went camping this weekend. We had such a beautiful time. It was
we did.
absolutely gorgeous.
And the weather, it was just so nice. Yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yep,
Except we heard a really creepy animal sound
we
that went
did.
on and on and on for the first night. We had a lot of speculation about what it was. It was big enough that you could hear it breathe,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty big.
That's pretty big. I really wanted it to be a mountain lion. Scott says it was probably a fox. He wasn't there to hear it, but he said that's fox-like. He said that would have been a
Fox
fox.
was my first guess because it was kind of high pitched, and foxes are high pitched. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I thought mountain lion, bobcat, small deer,
Right?
or small bear.
Small
I don't
bear.
know.
I thought maybe I had jinxed us because I have been saying for a while now that I really, really, really want to see a mountain lion. Uh,
Mhm.
Not at the zoo or on TV, but like, out in the wilderness. And my husband's determined that no, I don't. But I
Really
really
rare. I
do.
mean, we have them here, but you would
Hmm.
never know it.
Yeah, I rarely see them. So I kind of thought maybe I manifested that by all my wishes to see a mountain lion, but
Maybe you did.
he's still telling me it was a fox.
I don't
Killjoy.
know. I mean, the way that you could hear its breath, that was one of the things that concerned me because it's got to be a
Hmm.
pretty good sized animal to hear its breath.
That was pretty wild. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was a Bigfoot.
But
Maybe it
we came
was.
back with all our small dogs intact and,
Hmm.
we were all safe. So
Yeah.
whatever it was, it didn't attack us.
No. So we're all good.
Yeah.
Wow, it is the first crime squad, true crime squad meeting of the week.
Yes, it is.
It's Monday, and we're a little late, so I apologize. But we've been partying hard. We had to rest,
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
so here we are. Kristi, I think we're going to start today with WTF news.
Yes, we sure are.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Big Pearl?
No.
Nor had I. This is Big Pearl and her unfortunate final husband.
Oh, hard yikes! Look at his face. Oh.
Well, he was about 96 in that picture. So, you know, Big Pearl was a real early gold digger. And I read her story and I went, oh, if you guys haven't heard this, y'all need to hear it. So let me tell you,
So
let me
Big
tell you
Pearl
a
it
little
is.
bit about Big Pearl. Because this, obviously this is an old story.
Mm-hmm.
Big Pearl was around 6 feet tall, which is why she was called Big Pearl. I mean, okay. But this is um back in like the 30s and 40s. So
Mm-hmm.
at that time, she would have been a very big woman.
Mm-hmm.
She had somewhere between 5 and 8 husbands. No one's totally
Wow.
sure. She did commit many crimes and did do time, had a very long arrest record that included kidnappings, robberies, extortion, violent assaults, and murder, going
Whoa.
back to the early 1930s.
But she kept scoring husbands.
She did, yes. She was found not guilty in the death of a farmhand in 1938. Um, Her victim was shot in the back, but the jury decided it was self defense. I
Oh.
don't know how you are defending yourself when you shoot someone in the back, but so in 1949, she murdered a carpenter and went to prison for about 20 years.
Oh.
Um, and then she moved on to California, where, it was a little too early in our history for like the internet and background checks. So she signed up on a nursing registry in Pasadena, California, and called herself a companion to the elderly. And no one thought twice about it, which,
Oh.
I mean, yikes.
Yes.
So in July of 1965, she was sent to a home in South Pasadena, California that belonged to Otis Birch and his wife Estelle. Otis at the time was 94, Estelle was 92. They had been married since 1899. And Otis was very rich. He was a millionaire. This was a 32-room mansion that she was sent to help take care of these people and their
Wow.
home. He made his money during the California oil boom and in the citrus industry in California.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any children, and they donated a lot of their money to Baptist churches and ministries. So by the time Otis was 94, he was very frail, deaf, and nearly blind. His wife Estelle had dementia and was bedridden. For a while, he had a cousin that was coming in and helping them out, and then
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't do it anymore. So he had to hire some outside assistance to help him because he couldn't take care of Estelle anymore. So Pearl was one of two nurses that went to that house. But Pearl was really good at her job and she just kind of edged the other girl out because, as you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine, she was seeing dollar signs.
Oh, yeah.
She started swindling Otis and sweet talking him into signing over pieces of his property to her,
Oh.
including the mansion they were living in at the time.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. So, not long after that, Estelle was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And Pearl moved Estelle and Otis from their giant house to her apartment in Compton. She said it would be easier to take care of them in a smaller place. And then they
Oh,
just all three disappeared.
oh
And
man.
some relatives got a little concerned, and so they went looking for them and found them in Mexico. And Otis said that he and his wife were not being held against their will, that they were there voluntarily for their health, and Pearl had just come along to take care of them. I think Pearl was real good at making things seem like they were Otis's idea.
Mm-hmm.
Then they came back to the United States. They went to Texas, and Pearl had to put Otis in a hospital because he broke his hip. And this dude is still living through all of this. I mean, by now he's what, 95?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then they went to Pearl's brother's house in Breckenridge, Texas, and Estelle died there in October of 1966.
Oh,
I mean, she did have terminal cancer, but we
right.
don't know for sure. She sent um Pearl sent Estelle's body to Inglewood Inglewood Park Cemetery in California and said that there should be no notice about her death. So they didn't tell anyone that she was dead.
Oh, good Lord.
Um, 4 days after Estelle passed, oh, Otis, big giant air quotes, he filed an application to adopt Pearl for inheritance purposes.
Oh my God.
And so some relatives from Iowa came to see him because they're like, this cannot be real. What is going
Mm-hmm.
on here? And Pearl let them in and let them talk to Otis. But after a while, she got real tired of them and chased them out with a butcher knife, yelling, I'll cut your heart out. because they were
Oh,
pretty concerned about the old guy getting swindled. She
well,
was
was it
arrested.
their money to inherit?
Most likely, yes, because see, they didn't have kids.
Right.
So yeah, everybody was a little concerned about what was going on here.
Mm-hmm.
She actually was charged with assault with the intention to commit murder and was arrested.
Wow.
Of course, released on bond because
Mm-hmm.
her new daddy could bond her out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh.
there were Texas Rangers that were posted around their house, the house where she was,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that she didn't run on the bond.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow she did elude them, and she got Otis into their brand new fancy red car and drove him away. She was charged
So
with,
she wrestled a 95-year-old man into a car, a
yeah,
bright red one, and drove away under the secure watch of the Texas Rangers.
yes, she absolutely did.
Oh,
Pearl,
for God's
basically,
sake.
it appears to me to be a person that she's one of those people that can just do anything.
Mm-hmm.
She was charged with kidnapping over that one. Um, however, a few days later, they come back to Breckenridge, Texas, which people were surprised by because, she now had warrants.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? At this point, Pearl is the new Mrs. Otis Birch. So not
Oh my
only
God.
did he adopt her, he also married her. She was making doubly sure
Oh,
she would keep all his money.
yes.
Um, Pearl found a minister that did a curbside ceremony.
Oh,
Otis didn't even get out of the
nothing weird
car,
about that. Nothing
right?
odd.
He was laying on a mattress in the car when they exchanged their vows. I
Oh
mean,
my
what
God.
the? So, his relatives did try to have the marriage annulled, and so they had to go to court.
Mm-hmm.
Otis was asked 34 questions. Because he was deaf and nearly blind, they wrote each question on a legal pad, and the letters were like several inches tall so that he could see them.
Mm-hmm.
Still had to read them with a magnifying glass.
Oh, poor
And
Otis.
he answered all the questions. Is Pearl Choate Birching holding you against your will? No, she is not, his booming reply. He also said he did not want to go back to California, that he liked life in Texas. When they asked about the wedding, he said, I sat in the car and didn't go in. I didn't know he was a preacher, Otis said. If that's all it took, then we're married. And the judge agreed.
Wow.
And yeah. So when they left the courthouse, Pearl told reporters she was not in it for the money. Um, at that point, his value was listed at around $200 million.
Wow.
Um, so they lived together in an aluminum trailer home in Dallas until he died in March of 1967. So he would have been 97 at that
Why?
point.
I mean, as
You know,
wealthy as he was, why weren't they living in something nicer?
I you know, I don't know. She just wanted to keep him away from anybody that had anything to do with him. Of course, after he died, a bunch of his relatives sued her. It
Mm-hmm.
went on for several years. Um, she finally won, and at that point, his estate was worth about $3,000
Oh,
because she already had the rest of it.
yeah,
He'd already signed everything over to her. She'd
right.
already been spending the shit out of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the story of Big Pearl.
Wow.
Like, whoa, that woman. She could get shit done.
Mm-hmm. That was a Lori Vallow ancestor right there.
Kind of, although she didn't kill him. And she
No,
didn't kill his wife either. She just
well,
took care of him till they died.
that
I
we
mean, as
know
far
of.
as we know, but I mean,
Yeah,
Estelle was like 95 at that point and had terminal
yeah, and had
cancer.
cancer.
So
Wowza.
who who knows, really?
Well, Big Pearl.
Yeah.
Well.
Very interesting life. I'm gonna show you the picture one more time because the picture, I mean, now that you've heard the context,
Mm-hmm.
this picture.
my goodness.
Pretty much just tells the whole story right
Poor
there.
Otis, that
Uh,
face. Oh gosh.
yeah, he was definitely not in his right mind at this point.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I'm going to kick the mic back to you for our main case.
Yes. Okay, so as we know, on Saturday, September 3rd, Jeff German, was murdered in Las Vegas. He came out of his home. It looks as though there was someone at the side of his home that gestured to him, and he approached them. There was an altercation, and he was stabbed several times
Mm,
and died.
dear.
And when it happened, the police had released a couple of images of the the suspect.
Whoa.
So,
That
and
hat is very effective.
this is Vegas. I mean, it was over 100 degrees, and this
Oh,
person has on this giant hat, straw hat, long sleeve shirt, uh, you know, long
long
sleeve or
pants.
long pants. Yeah, like fully covered and carrying a bag. Um, just very unusual attire for Las Vegas
Oh my
when
God,
it's that
yeah.
hot. And then here's a video of that person too walking down the sidewalk.
They
So,
almost look like they have a bit of a limp or something.
yeah, it kind of does, huh? Well,
Mm,
that's what was released at the time that when Mr. Gurman was found, and
uh-huh.
the police they also released a picture of this vehicle. It was like a Yukon or a Tahoe,
Yeah, red
a
one.
GMC maroon, and that's what came out first. Well, there's a lot to know about Mr. Gehrman because he was an investigative journalist, an active investigative journalist. He was 69 at the time of his death, but
Mm-hmm.
he was still working
Wow.
for, he'd been at the Las Vegas Sun and then he had moved over to another publication there. But this is a guy who had been taking on mob bosses, the government, all kinds of organized crime, business crime.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, he ran a big story on the Raiders and discrimination in the workplace there. I mean, he had not shied away from anything. And
Wow.
his colleagues would say that he was one of those like tried and true reporters who would not stop when they got onto a story until they told the story. He'd been injured before, he'd been punched in the face in the past, he'd been threatened many times.
Mm-hmm.
One of his colleagues said that he was the epitome of the First Amendment because he was fearless in what he would report on and who he would report on.
Boy, it sounds like it.
But he was always also known to be very fair. That he would tell the truth and not embellish the truth, but he would tell the truth even if it made people flinch, regardless of who the person was.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't play favorites in his reporting. If you were the subject of his investigation, you were the suspect or the
Wow.
subject. So at any rate, when he was murdered, I think immediately the spidey senses of the investigative journalist or the journalism society or community as well as law enforcement had to have gone, okay, who was it?
Yeah.
Because he essentially probably had a lot of enemies, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm
But
sure with that history.
mhm, but that car. Oh,
Mm.
by the way, one thing I was going to say is one of his biggest accomplishments was a book that he wrote called Murder in Sin City
Mm.
about the murder of Ted Binion.
Mm.
He was, Binion's. I'm sure you've heard of Binion's casinos.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he was the big casino magnate, Ted Binion.
Oh.
Anyway, so his last station was at the Las Vegas Review.
Mm.
So first the
Okay.
Las Vegas Sun, then Las Vegas Review. But he's been in Vegas reporting for 40 years. But anyway,
Wow.
beyond that, uh, so a couple of things that gave the police something to go on. First being, of course, that vehicle and the pictures of the suspect.
Sure.
But uh, Mr. Gehrman had plenty of defensive wounds.
Oh.
Yeah, or or yeah, and had DNA under his fingertips, and they also had a possible suspect because the person that was probably the latest on his list of people that might have been pissed off at him
Mm-hmm.
had been angry tweeting about him the day before he died.
Ooh.
So, in taking a further look at him, they did arrest Robert Tellis. So, Robert Tellis he was an elected official for Clark County, Nevada,
Okay.
and his office handles the estates of deceased people. He's an attorney.
Oh, okay.
And in May, a couple of former employees sat down with Jeff Gehrman to talk about how shitty his office is and what a
Mm-hmm.
disaster it is and what a hard employer he is to work for, and provided him with video evidence of him sneaking off with another employee and climbing in the back seat of her car in a mall parking lot every so often.
Gross.
Uh-huh. People who worked there literally had to quit because of health issues, because of working there, like
Wow.
anxiety issues and stuff. Like it was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
So he ran his first story in May about this guy, and it turned into four stories. And the day before he died, he had requested another uh, request of documents as he was continuing to investigate this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the election came and went, and Mr. Tallis lost.
Oh.
And he appeared to be fully blaming Jeff Gehrman for the loss of his position.
Because he was
So,
out there just telling the truth.
mhm,
Nobody likes
so
that anymore.
right. So, according to Robert Tellis's website, he's been married for more than 10 years. He has a wife, and he has three children and has this very blessed life. He actually started as an HVAC guy who put himself through law school.
Oh, wow.
He hasn't been an attorney for a very long time, but
Mm-hmm.
at any rate, he had big political aspirations that have pretty much been snuffed out by all of this. He actually,
Look at that. The consequences of his actions coming right after him.
right? Here's some of his tweets. Wife hears rustling in the trash. Her. Honey, is there a wild animal in the trash? Me. No, dear. It looks like it's Jeff going through our trash for his fourth story on me. Oh, Jeff. Oh, shoot. I left a pizza box and sushi containers in the trash. In the next article, I'm going to have mob and Yakuza ties. Typical bully can't take a pound of criticism after slinging 100 pounds of BS. Up to article number 4 now. You'd think he had better things to do. Looking for lying smear piece number 4 by Jeff Gehrman. Hashtag one trick pony. I think he's mad that I haven't crawled into a hole and died. Yeah.
Wow.
It just basically anger tweeting.
Mm-hmm.
He had also said that he is uh, irrefutably in love with his wife, and he was just climbing into the back seat of that employee's car every once in a while because he just needed to get some things off his chest.
Uh,
Oh,
come
honey.
on, dude.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're gonna lie, like, that was a real half-assed attempt.
Mhm. But, these stories, which weren't even front page stories. I mean, it's a pretty unknown office. It's not like
Yeah,
he's, big on the political stage or anything. But at any rate, may have cost him his political career and may have cost him his marriage, though his actions are actually the things that did that
definitely a fuck around and find out situation.
for sure. So he gets arrested. Well, the police go to his house to arrest him, and there's a bit of a standoff and skirmish with him. And they have to take him to the hospital before they go to the jail because somebody was in the house trying to slit their wrists.
Oh, no.
They called them superficial injuries, but I think it's pretty obvious that's what was going on. You can see in these
Mhm.
pictures Uh,
He's got bandages.
the bandages up his arms. Yeah. So,
Dear.
and the car? Yeah, his wife has one of those. Yeah.
He is not the brightest bulb, is he?
Well, he dressed up in a Halloween costume, basically, and he left his cell phone home. So I guess he was thinking that those would be the things he needed to do to cover up this crime. Uh, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
no, but
So he's
still drove a car belonging to him and his wife. Like, what? Oh,
yeah. So as of this taping, he's still in jail with no bond set at this point, though there may be it, in the future. But his attorney wasn't quite ready to argue for that when they first went to court. But that's kind of how things sit at this point. Uh,
wow.
I was reading because there's been a lot of hostility towards the press these last few years, and it is
Mhm.
scary. And then, of course, there was a member of the press that was murdered in Saudi Arabia. There have been, or Saudi Arabia, Saudi. I don't know if that's right. Anyway, whatever. Potato, potato, probably.
Mm.
But at any rate, so I was wondering, how frequent are we seeing members of the press being murdered? Not frequent. Jeff German's murder is only the ninth one in recent history of journalists being murdered due to stories that they ran.
Wow.
Maybe people don't dare kill that person because it's too obvious. I don't know.
I it would seem to be this is so obvious. Like,
Yeah.
he was
I mean,
rage tweeting at him, and then the next day he's murdered in front of his house. Like,
hmm
huh? I wonder who did it.
don't should be mad enough at you to do that. It is sad to me that, I mean, this dude survived the mob
Yeah, yeah. That's very sad. He's
and
done a
was
lot of
killed
really
by
good
this
work.
little pissant. Yeah.
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 Wow.
So, allegedly, I should say allegedly, because
Mhm.
he gets his due process in court, but the probable cause evidence is pretty staggering.
Sounds like it.
The DNA under his fingernails.
Yeah.
Not sure what you're going to do with that, there,
No
Robert,
bueno.
except
Yeah.
for maybe try and get a plea deal, because you're probably done.
Yeah. Sure sounds like it. Oh,
Yeah,
well, I'm really sorry for Jeff's family, though.
yeah,
That's a big loss.
yeah, it is, and for the journalist community as well. His paper uh, was the first one to break the story about the arrest, actually.
Oh, wow.
His colleagues are doing their best they can to honor him
I'll bet.
in the wake of all of this. So we'll keep an eye on it and let you guys know how this transpires. It's an interesting one, I think. It's very sad, but at the same time, I think anytime a murder or a journalist is murdered, we should pay a lot of attention to what's happening there.
Yeah, that's really, really important because they're onto something that no
Mm-hmm.
one wants. Somebody doesn't want the world to know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this
So
guy seemed a little big for his britches. Like, he thought he was pretty important stuff there,
yeah, without a doubt,
Mr. Tellis.
for sure. Well, with that, I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for a little Florida man.
Yes. So last week, you may have heard when Katie challenged all of us to enter Florida Man and our birthday in Google and see what story came up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to share the one that came up when I did that, mainly because I think this is very interesting and some things that I didn't know were such a problem. So the headline, when I put in my birthday, this was November 29th of last year. Florida man arrested by police after TSA catches him with loaded gun at Newark Liberty International Airport security checkpoint because stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, he has this gun in his carry-on.
Oh
Goes
my
through the
God.
x-ray machine, like, so he says he was going to put it in his checked luggage and he just forgot. The gun actually was not loaded. It was unloaded. It says that in the headline, but that's clickbait, I think. The gun was unloaded and it was in a hard-sided case. with 35 bullets, and that is how they're supposed to be packaged,
Mhm.
when you fly.
Yeah.
However, what the hell, So I wanted to talk a little bit about this because this is more common. Actually, this happens in Idaho Falls, where I live, quite
Mhm.
frequently.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised it happens here, but it's actually fairly common, a little scarier than you might think.
Mhm.
So just in the Newark airport, in 2017 there were 6, in 2018 there were 14, in 2019 there were 11, and in 2020 there were 11, and in 2021 there were 13.
Wow.
Nationwide, TSA officers have found 3,257 firearms on passengers on their carry-ons or at checkpoints in the last year. Um, and the numbers have fallen quite a bit because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
But the reality is that there are people pretty regularly trying to get guns with ammo onto
On the
planes.
planes.
That is way higher numbers than I would have expected,
That is really concerning, really.
isn't it? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I can oh, also, of the guns caught by TSA in 2020, about 83% of them were loaded.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I first of all, I don't believe his story that he just didn't check it
No, he was just trying to
with the
get away with
baggage claim.
something.
If you were
Yeah.
gonna check it in baggage claim, why is it on your carry-on bag?
Yeah.
Should be in your checked bag, right? But I find this scary. What are people doing trying to get on planes with guns, either
Right.
loaded or with ammunition? Also, how do they think they're gonna punk the X-ray?
Right.
Like, here in
But
Idaho,
but
it's
does
a
that make you
total
think that maybe sometimes they do?
right? How many times does
If
it
people are
actually work?
trying this so often, how often does it actually work? That's
Yeah.
my biggest concern
Yes.
and wondering is that if people are getting caught doing it, that probably means that people are doing it.
Mhm.
Wow.
Somehow the plastic guns the zip guns or whatever that you order online to put together that are
Yeah.
made of plastic. I don't
Mhm.
know, but,
The
I felt
pretty
like it was
frigid
something
guns.
important for us to
Yeah.
be aware of
Well, for
because
sure, because not everyone that gets on the plane with a gun has ill intentions. Some of them are probably just, also scared about things that go on planes sometimes. I get it. However,
right,
planes on guns is such a scary
planes on guns
combination. Planes on
and
guns.
and guns
Wow.
on planes
And
too.
guns on planes both. They're terrible. That's a scary proposition,
It
you
is.
know. Also because not everyone who thinks they're a good guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Exactly. Also, if that gun is loaded, what if you drop it?
Mhm.
What if it falls out of the overhead
Mhm.
compartment. I mean, there's a lot of things that could go wrong here. You fire a gun on a plane in midair, you could take that
That's
plane down.
yeah.
I mean, it's just scary. So it was something to think about. Here it happens, and that's just simply because the people around here are so arrogant and so entitled to their
Mhm.
weapons
Mhm.
that they absolutely will defy every rule possible
Mhm.
everywhere they possibly can
Yeah.
about it. But I did find that really interesting that this is
Mhm.
not as uncommon as I thought it might be.
Yeah.
And I know 3,000 guns might not sound like that much to you. It really is, though, because you're right, Katie. How
Mhm.
many times have people figured out a way to actually get them through and be on an airplane with a loaded weapon?
Yeah.
It's a thought, it's a scary one, but one I really had not thought about much until I read
Mhm.
this story. So thought I'd share
It's
it. I just think it's
interesting.
important to think about that a little bit
Yeah.
that people and their guns, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll just be perfectly honest. You know what I call them? Gun fuckers.
Oh.
Because seriously, the way that people hang on to their guns where we
Right.
live,
I know
it
lots and lots of people with guns that you would never even know they have a gun because they
right.
don't have to flaunt it. They don't have to
No,
rub it
but
in your face. They don't have to take it to, and put their AKs
Walmart
on
or
a
wherever.
table at a restaurant or, yeah, strapped to their back in the Home Depot.
Right.
Yeah. But these folks that are so blatant and out there with their guns all the time, it is concerning behavior. It's
It is.
weird.
It's really weird. It's really weird.
No.
So, anyway,
Yikes.
one more thing for us to be concerned about.
I guess so.
The list
Well,
is
good
long,
job,
I
New
guess.
York, for, catching it where you could, but
Right.
yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. That is Monday. So we'll be
Yes.
back tomorrow with a brand new episode. We'll be back Wednesday, and we'll be back Wednesday night for case updates.
Yes, we will.
And now, is this week the cold read
No.
party?
No.
It's not. It's the next week. Okay. There you
No,
go.
it's it's the next week.
The
Yep.
next week. Okay, perfect. All righty. Well, that's what's up. So, uh, and there's a lot going on, a lot of updates happening as far as Wednesday night case updates. I can't wait because there's a
Mhm.
lot going on right now to update you on, particularly Colby Ryan. So,
Yeah,
we'll be here for it.
for
So,
sure.
thanks so much for being here, guys. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad. Take care.
Bye, everybody.